Okay, just a basic video going through what we did in class, setting up a single HTML page and then linking a style sheet to it, an external style sheet, which of course is the best way to do it. So we start with File and New, so you get all of the options. Leave it on blank page, HTML. We don't want any of these layouts, but critically you must choose HTML5, the version of the language that we're going to use. And as you can see on the left there, we've got the basic skeleton of a web page, and I'm just going to put a title in there, My Dreamweaver tutorial, so there's something in it. And take that blank line out, because every line counts, and I'm going to put a space between the body tags. This is where all of the content goes. Anything you want to display on the page goes in the body. Right, so this panel I've got open on the right might not be open by default. You've got a ticket up there, you can see there, without, you see an insert tab there, you can get to it that way as well. Right, there's a few that we use. There's this one, which is the most common things that people use, and this one for layout, which we're going to begin with. Now, like we did in the class, the main container for everything is an article, just like in publishing. So if I click that on the right, you get the chance to give it a class name or an ID. I don't need to do that, so I'm just going to click OK, and I don't need that placeholder text either. So I'm just going to split that open there, and now I'm going to create the rule that we did for the article in the lesson. So a new CSS rule, this icon down here, and instead of class I'm going to choose tag, and it's selected the article. Click OK, and now I can style it whichever way that I want. You can see there I've made a mistake though, so I'm going to cancel that. I didn't select external style sheet, so why don't we create a style sheet first. So we'll save this web page, save as, and we'll call this, I've done this a couple of times as you can see, so we'll call this Dreamweaver 3 and save it, and then we'll also create a basic style sheet. So File New on that, but instead of HTML, choose CSS and click Create. Now we don't need that stuff in there, so we can delete that and do Save As, and of course you put it in a CSS folder, and I'll call this one Custom 3. Click Save. Now I've saved it, I can close it, and now I'm going to link it up to this page, and it should put a link in the head here. So there's a little link icon here to attach a style sheet. Click that and then browse and go to where you saved it, which for me is Custom 3. I click OK, click OK, and there you can see it's in the head. That file path there, I'll just broaden this out a little bit. There you go, that line there, it's a relative file path, which means there's none of that rubbish relating to your own computer or where you are on the network. It's just which folder is it in, slash, and what is the file name. That's what you should see. Okay, so now we'll go back to where we were. So on the article, I click inside the article because it gives Dreamweaver a clue as to which tag or class I want to target. And now when I go in here, I can click tag, choose article, and instead of this document only, it's our new style sheet, custom3.css. That's really important that you select that. Click OK. Now, for the article, if you remember, what we did was we gave it a faint grey background. We went into the box section and we gave it a width of 80%, not pixels, so this will make it fluid for mobile devices. And to center it, if we put 0 in there and then take the tick out, I want the left and right to be automatic, and that'll center up the 80% wide grey box that we have. And that should be enough for that. Click apply if you like. You'll see it up here, but only barely, because the height has collapsed because there's nothing inside the container. So we'll fix that. We'll just go over here and have a look at what we've done. Right, so if you remember what we did to keep the box from collapsing, we typed in min, height, and your monitor is about 1080 pixels. You wouldn't do this for your real website, but while you're learning, it really helps if you can visualize things, and by doing that, look, we can visualize it. One further thing in Dreamweaver, if you click this live button here, you'll get to see exactly how it will be in the browser. Right, so I'll do a quick save on that. Save regularly. I've got something else working away on my laptop, so it's running a little bit slow, so you'll have to excuse that. Right, so in between the article tags, I'm going to hit the tab key on my keyboard to indent, very important, and we can use a different one. If you remember, we used sections in the lesson, in the class, so if I click section, and now I can give it a class name. Now you can give it any class name you want, but make it sensible and logic, and don't put any capitals in and don't put any spaces in. So this is for the left section, so I'm just going to type ls and click OK, and you get this. You get a little bit of placeholder text in there, which we don't need. I'm just going to type the words left section in there, and you can see it displaying up there. So what we'll do is we will click in the ls class name to give Dreamweaver a clue, so that when we click new rule for this, it knows which class name. You see .ls, which means class name of ls. Still on custom3.css. Now for this one, what we did was we gave it red for the background color, and then in the box category we set it to be 50% wide, so that'll be 50% of the container that it's in, which is the article. And we have to float it left, so that when we do the next section they can sit next to each other. If you don't float both containers, then it won't work. The other thing we did, to give the text that's inside this container some breathing room, we gave it some padding of 1 EM. An EM, a single EM, is the same as 12 point in words, so you can visualize how big that is physically. It's just a nice small little space that people commonly use for padding. And we'll click apply, and if we look up here we can see it. It's not displaying quite how I'd expect till I get the other section in, because that doesn't look like 50%, it looks more like 60 or 70%. So we'll click OK. And the other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put an H1 tag in there, just like I asked you to do right at the end of the lesson. So I'll delete that placeholder text, and I'll move what I typed there into the H1 tags, tidy this up a little bit. So I'll drop the H1 down and tab it across because it's a child. I'll drop that down and line it up with its parents, so it's easy to troubleshoot. And the other thing I asked you to do was to also put a paragraph in. So we'll go to our favourite website, Lorem Ipsum, which is webfx.com, and I'll copy a paragraph, medium paragraph of text. Remember, this comes with the HTML tag in it for a paragraph. So if I paste that in there and click to refresh, you'll see we get a nice neat paragraph and an H1 tag. We haven't changed the font yet, we'll do that in a second. So click enter, and another section, and this one wants to be RS for the class name. Click OK, and we'll type right section. Do a quick save, Control S. And I'm going to copy the paragraph, drop that down as well. I'll put the paragraph there, and I'm just going to manually type the H1 tags for this. You can see Dreamweaver auto completes, so it put the closing tag in as soon as I hit the slash. It recognised there was an open H1 tag and it closed it for us. Right, so we need some styling for this one. So we'll refresh the CSS styles, new style. Yes, that's the correct class. Click OK, and we want green this time, and on the box 50% again, float left again, and 1 EM for the padding. We can click apply and have a look at that. Now, if you remember, I showed you something in class which didn't work the way I wanted it to. When I've added the padding, it's added the width of the padding to the width of the box, so now it's 50% plus the width of 1 EM, which means it comes to over 100% for those two sections. So we need to fix that with a simple rule. Now the rule, I tried to get it to work in the body, but I've since found a better way to do it. If you type asterisk, that basically means it's a wildcard, so it means every single tag in your web page has this rule applied to it. So this would be a good place to put that box sizing border box rule. So right there on that line, I'm going to type box sizing colon border. There you go. There it is. Semicolon to finish the line off. Control S, and hopefully just checking I've not made any errors here. Okay, so we'll carry on. So I want to change that really ugly text. If you remember, the browser comes with default font, and it's applied to the body of Times New Roman. It also leaves a gap at the top of the page because it has margin on it. So I'm going to create a new rule for the body tag. So tag body, yes, click OK. So font family, let's have a nice sans serif font. I like the one with Helvetica in, so I like that one there. I also need to zero the margins, so if I put 0 in there and apply that, you can see the gap's gone now. Click OK. So let's just test this in the browser. If you remember, we also set the browsers up. We went to Edit, Preferences, then we click Preview in Browser, and I've already set mine up, so you can see I chose Chrome and I ticked Primary Browser, then Internet Explorer, Secondary Browser. So now I can hit F12 or Control F12 to see the page. So let's hit F12 now and see what we get in the browser. So you can see it's not displaying properly in the Dreamweaver window, but it is displaying properly in the browser. 50%, 50%, and the padding is not being added, so it does fit. It might be because I've got my window quite small so that I can film what I'm telling you. Otherwise this should be displaying properly. I mean, I could probably force it to fit. What I could do is copy that. No, it's not going to work in Dreamweaver. I say this is at the time that this version of Dreamweaver was created. This rule didn't exist, so I'm not sure Dreamweaver quite knows what to do with it. Let's try just putting it on design view. So even on design view, it looks like it should have enough space there, but it hasn't. Never mind, we know we've done it right because it's working correctly in the browser. Right, and that is about as far as we got. So I'll create another video when we move on from this. We'll probably do a navigation bar at the top and maybe a logo and a banner. I'd like to think you'll have a clue as to how we'll do that. But the critical thing is, using these is much quicker. There's less chance of you making an error because you click on it, you don't need to worry about spelling mistakes or typos. It puts the tag in for you. Just need to tidy some of this code up. Just need to tab that across because it's a child. Yeah. and that's okay.